Hey folks, this is Kelani. Welcome to Zuldazar. Remember back in Warlords of Draenor when we were promised some amazingly super awesome fun faction hubs for all of our adventuring needs? Remember how our hopes and dreams were dashed on the rocky shores of Ashran? Well, the Battle for Azeroth expansion seems to be aiming to make up for these broken promises. This is Dazar Allure, a Zandalari troll temple where the king resides and is also the Horde faction's hub for everything to do with Zandalar. It's quite a typical troll temple in that it's made up of several layers which are more or less symmetrical. Let's head up to the top first because that's where most of the action is. You can go up pretty much anywhere you want and you'll end up in the same location. Again, it's all symmetrical. The first thing you probably notice is that there's a whole bunch of gold. The Zandalari really seem to love their gold. Gold rocks, gold inlay, gold decorations, even their armor is gold. There's also dinosaurs of all shapes and sizes just chilling in the streets, so if you ever wanted to pet a pterodactyl, I guess you better make sure you level up some Horde in the next expansion. It's quite a trek up to the top, but there's some really cool architecture to admire on the way up. Check out this awesome troll stonework in the back. There's also a chronicler NPC here, so this might have something to do with the history of the Zandalari. We might end up coming down here later on to learn a few things, or maybe change a few things after we've done our part. Not only is this temple where the Zandalari king resides, but I think it might have a much more important role in the coming expansion. So this is the main entrance where you'll want to go for pretty much every resource in the hub. Once again, a very beautiful piece of work. The Zandalari theme is definitely one of my favourites in Warcraft so far. But before we head in there, let's walk around the side so I can show you something quite interesting. If we look up towards the top of the temple, we can see a massive golden ring, which is actually two rings moving in opposite directions. It looks like an ancient Mayan calendar, but does it count down towards something? Or is it part of something a little more sinister? It might very well be the last seal keeping Gahul locked beneath Uldir, but more on that later. Let's check out what this hub has to offer besides some awesome sightseeing. There's a flight path here on the right. Obviously the Horde has to fly in style, so expect dinosaurs and more dinosaurs. Things aren't fully implemented yet, so it's a bit of a headache to look at, but it looks like we'll have plenty of flight paths to move around the new continents. If you haven't seen much of the alpha and the new zones we'll be exploring, here's a nice little preview. The Golden Temple serves as an excellent vantage point and you can see pretty much all of Zuldazar from the higher platforms. We haven't had many views like this in the entirety of Warcraft, and just in case you didn't get a good enough look at the temple itself, tell me that isn't one of the coolest things you've seen. Maybe it's the detail, or that it's just not for show but you can actually get up here. I don't know, but it's pretty awesome for a faction hub. Okay, I said enough of sightseeing, let's head inside. You'll notice there's quite a heavy Forsaken presence here. The Zandalari guards gave way to Forsaken battle guards, which, if you look close enough, they don't seem to have any back problems. They're standing up straight. So maybe there's hope for our own undead characters too. Maybe we'll get the same treatment as the orcs. So this is the actual main hub where I would expect you to be spending most of your AFK time, standing around in your shiny transmogs and showing off whatever new weapons you manage to acquire. There's an innkeeper so you can set your hearthstone, and note the name of this area, the Great Seal. That lends some pretty significant weight to the whole seal idea. If we head down this way, you can see our portal room with portals to pretty much anywhere you could want to go. And don't worry about their stability. Our good old friend Oculus is here to make sure these portals are much safer than the old chaotic ones we used to just jump through willy-nilly. There's also a little training area up here with lots of Horde soldiers milling around. They're in for a long training session. I hope they'll be given a break between beta and release. This also seems to be some form of storage room. There's a vendor in the corner, but he doesn't sell anything too special. Like the rest of these temples, these areas are pretty symmetrical, so we can head over to the other side where there's a large empty room with a cool looking triangle on the wall, maybe some form of ritual hall, or maybe its purpose hasn't been decided upon yet. Either way, it looks pretty cool. These stairs head up to the back of one of the rooms upstairs, but there's another room down here that I want to take a look at first. On the opposite side of the portal room you can find a very hastily put together bank. There's also NPCs lugging crates back and forth, so I guess the assumption is that we're still moving in and haven't quite gotten through all of the boxes yet. In here you can find a transmogrifier and a pair of bankers with a guild bank as well. The poor chaps can't even see over the barrier. Maybe they need a box or a crate to stand on, and they might want to think about upping their security because you can just hop straight into the back of the bank. It's like the Stormwind bank all over again, but they don't even try to stop you. Weirdly enough, there's some more guild banks back here which you can actually interact with, so maybe it's okay to get back here. Either way, we have the typical duo of a bank and a portal room in the new hub for the Horde, as well as that transmogrifier. I think there's a few things missing here still though. That large safe on the back wall is probably going to be the guild bank, it just hasn't been implemented yet. That would make a whole lot more sense than stuffing a piggy bank into the corner. We're trying to keep things cool here, this is Zuldazar after all. Alright, so let's head on upstairs and check that out. I still can't get over the awesome Aztec theme sometimes, the details are just so cool. Okay, so up here is our good friend Nathanos Blightcaller, as well as the troll princess Talanji. It looks like they're the main chaps we'll be working with to make sure Zuldazar is safe and secure for the glory of the Horde. There's also a neat little map, which you will probably recognise as the base for our mission table. Apparently it's not going to be as involved as the mission tables in Legion, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Through here seems to be the actual inn area with lots of patrons buzzing about, a bartender and a whole slab of meat just roasting away in the middle of the room. From the size of that thing, it has to come from one of the dinos. I wonder what dinosaur meat tastes like. Moving on, we have a little balcony with a few more patrons and a path that leads around to the other upstairs area. When I was checking this out the first time, I found something kind of fun. A little wiggle back and forth in just the right position and you get a very good look at that huge golden ring we saw earlier. How cool is that? I'm surprised they created the whole thing instead of just making the top part which is visible from outside, but you can tell this huge ring is super important somehow. That's got to be in the story somewhere, right? Okay, let's move along to the other side of this area where we can find some profession trainers. In this room we have the Inscription Trainer with an inscription supplies vendor, as well as the Archeology Trainer. So I guess we'll get to dig up all manner of new troll artifacts with a new round of Archeology. Maybe some Kulturas related goodies too? Weirdly, these profession trainers are actually the only ones inside this area, but we'll find the other ones later. Over here we have the Voice of the King, which totally reminds me of Game of Thrones when the common folk are waiting to speak with Daenerys. It's funny because everyone else has to wait apparently, but we can just take the elevator upstairs and skip the queue. It pays to be an adventurer apparently, although I guess we're more in the hero category these days. Up here we have the King Rastakhan himself, as well as some of his loyal bodyguards. Speaking of Game of Thrones, this chap literally calls himself the King's Spider, master of whispers and plots unknown. He's not quite plump enough though, if you ask me. And just in case you weren't impressed the first time, here's another view of Zuldazar from even higher up the temple. Everything the light touches is our faction hub. Except that one temple over there that's infested with blood trolls, so we'll probably get to explore that a bit later. Another cool thing about this temple is that getting down is much quicker than climbing up, providing you're not susceptible to fall damage anyway. Alright, so that's pretty much everything upstairs. Let's shoot back down and see what else this hub has to offer. I'm not entirely sure where the hub ends and the rest of the zone begins, it all just kind of melds together. But underneath here is a really cool armory and training ground, so I guess this is still part of the hub. There's training dummies all around the walls, weapons are set up in the middle and adorn the walls too, and there's some form of weird ritual taking place in the middle here with 2 priests and a very large troll. It's a shame you can't use any of the weapons from the racks or interact with anything at all down here, but maybe these things just haven't been implemented. There is a vendor, however, who will sell you some funky mojo. Not sure what it does, but it seems to make you pretty angry. If we head outside, we can see a little training ground for the Ravasaurs. These are the trainers you'll have to thank when you get your hands on one of these cool Ravasaur mounts. I love the focus on dinosaurs in these areas, though it is a bit weird to be in an area with so many dinos with none of them wanting to kill you. Down on the very bottom level, we can see some of the bigger dinos being wrangled by a handful of Zandalari. And if we head on over to the other side, we can see the other uses the Zandalari have found for their oversized friends. Pack animals, and this is also where you'll find pretty much every other profession trainer. I don't know why the Inscription and Archeology trainers are special, but maybe these ones just don't have a proper location yet. Either way, they all seem to be present, and that's pretty much it for the Horde faction hub. Everything you could expect from a faction hub and quite a bit more. It's a very pretty location, maybe not savage enough for some members of the Horde, but I do kind of see what the dev team were scared of during Warlords of Draenor. This hub is quite large, and some parts of it do feel a little empty because of that. I hope more bits and pieces pieces are added in to fill in the edges, but I think it's a huge upgrade over having Dalaran as our major hub once again. So there we have it, the Horde faction hub. I'm excited to check out the Alliance one too, as that's a completely different theme. But what do you think of Zuldazar and Dazar Allure? Maybe one of our best faction hubs to date? Leave all your thoughts in the comments section below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.